The EMT16X and Melco OS has all the features you need to get your puff embroidery looking really good. In this video, I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks to make your puff look as good as the pros. To get that dimension, to get that raised look, you need to embroider over foam. Don't make the mistake of using 2mm foam. It's too flimsy and won't work. You need 3mm or 4mm high density foam. This will give you those pro results. Now we've searched around and we found the stuff from Gunold works best. Type in foam in the search bar and you're looking for 3mm dense foam or 4mm dense foam. To cover the foam, you're going to want to use a satin or column stitch that'll stitch from one side to the other. I use Digitizing. When you send them your art, make sure they know it's for a hat and that you're using foam for puff. If you're going to digitize this yourself, I recommend using the vast amount of resources that the master Scott Stengel has provided. It's on YouTube. There's links down below. Everything you need to know about digitizing and puff, Scott has probably talked about at some point. I made a detailed video about hooping Richardson hats and how important it is to ensure the clamp is as tight as you can get it. Do not underestimate this step. It's critical that you hoop your hat correctly and as tight as possible. If you want clarification, watch my detailed video, link down below. Notice how the strap is right up against the bill and is catching as much fabric as possible. This hat is clamped tight and will hold fast while being embroidered. This is critical to success. For the tightest clamp, make sure your clip is set all the way back. That's how you get the most adjustment out of your wing nuts. Before I start my job for the day, I'm going to go ahead and give my hook a little oiling. Then I'm going to check my bobbin, make sure the tension's right, get it all set up, get that thing locked and loaded. That hat is clamped nice and tight. Have I mentioned how important that is yet? Plug into the cap driver, make sure all three clips engage. Since this design has a flat background element, I want my presser foot set to 4 at first. I'll adjust later for the foam. Let's talk about settings in Melco OS. For the hoop, we'll select the cap driver, obviously. Then under color sequence, I'll make my first color cone 6, which is my flat layer. Then I'll need to add a hold so I can lay down the foam. My next cone is black thread, and I'll use black 4mm foam. I select 3mm puff. I'm using 4mm foam instead of 3, so under advanced, I want to increase 10 points from 20 to 30. I'm going to set my speed for 800, and active feed minimum 12, max 47. This will give consistency when we run the foam. Let's hit start and watch this thing roll. This is a good time to remind you of the essential elements for success here. Ensure you are digitizing your hats for puff. Watch videos from Scott to learn from the master. Be sure you're hooped your hat as tight as humanly possible. Get your Melco OS settings right. Use 3mm or 4mm dense foam. Good foam equals good puffy puff. I sped this clip up super fast, obviously, but I had a lot of consistency with this job. I was happy to see that these steps Mike taught me really delivered. When this flat background finishes, we'll add the 4mm dense puff. The hold setting in OS stops the job. We can now add a rubber band to help hold down the foam. The trick here is to get that rubber band as close to the brim as possible. Lay down your foam, move the rubber band to hold down one side and then the other. I found that if you keep the rubber band back to about where your hat clamp is, the foam will hold fast and there's plenty of room where your embroidery won't hit it. Don't forget this step. Be sure to move your presser foot all the way up. Oh, one more thing. We have to change out the needle on the foam thread color to the Beckett DBX K5 KK. This needle is more robust and will significantly reduce the amount of needle breaks. Amazon seems like the easiest way to stock up. Alright, we're good to go. Once that hold stitch is down for the foam, it's off to the races. While this design takes off, I want to remind you that if you're liking this content, give us a like and subscribe. If you have any videos you'd like to see, just let us know. Honestly, I was pretty intimidated at the idea of running a puff design on these new era caps. I always liked the puff effect on baseball caps, and I thought it would be much harder than it actually is. This design really came out looking pro in my opinion. A big factor here is using that 4mm dense foam. I remember years ago when I was running a print shop and we made products for professional sports teams. Everyone would always ask for puff designs. We were actually running Melco Amayas back then, and we could crank out hundreds of quality caps a day. I was always impressed with my crew and the quality product they made. Well, now I finally know how to do it for myself. So the next step here is to put a little heat on it, and that will crisp up the threads and a little bit of the extra foam and give it that extra crispy good look. So I hope you guys found this helpful. That was super fun. If you have any questions, of course you know how to get hold of us. Be sure you like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time. So the EMT16X and Melco OS, the EMT16X and Melco OS, the EMT16X and Melco OS, the EMT16X and the EMT16X and Melco OS has all the features that you need has all the features you need. The EMT16X and Melco OS has all the features you need to do embroidery puff perfect. The EMT16X and Melco OS, the EMT16X and my God, blooper reel.